Hey everybody, Kenny here. And today's Atomic Shop was definitely a bit of a letdown, so I am here with my top 5 camp spot locations. Going to do a whole series on these over the next few months. And you know, some of these locations you might recognize, and some of them you're not going to probably recognize, because there's some locations I've never really seen anybody build at, and those ones are probably more less unique, but there's something that stands out about it to me. And so when I'm looking for a good camp location, first off, I will usually look for something that's very aesthetically pleasing. For me, that means usually the Forest or Savage Divide, those two regions. But I also might look for an area that has dilapidated buildings, kind of that's good for a post-apocalyptic setting, having that kind of worn-down survivalist camp. So let's see, and yeah, so let's go and hop right into it. This first camp you're looking at right here is my Ironclad warship. So some of you might recognize it. It was the first ever camp build video I did, so if you go to my playlist there of my camp builds, you'll see the time-lapse construction of this. And let's go ahead and look into the specifics of this. It is located right here next to the Nuka-Cola plant. And there's a rowboat that's off the water that you can place your camp module on, which is what I was able to do here. Right there. I placed the camp module right where those the funnel or the sweet cake things are. That's where I was able to place the camp module. And then that allows you to get about 10 floor length of foundation out into the water, because you can anchor it just barely on the edge of the rocks here, and you can go 10 floor spaces out into the water. So you could, I have seen some camps here whenever I can't load here, I always like to check and see why, and it's usually because of that boat. And some people have done some really fantastic, like Waterworld style, kind of, cities out on the water. And so definitely some fantastic work I've seen here. As far as, let's see, we've got the pros and cons of this. One advantage is you don't get attacked hardly by anything. I sometimes will get hit with mole rats, or wild mongrels. That's all I'll get hit with here. There are a couple raiders over across the way. You can see one walking around, but they have never aggroed on me here. I'm just barely out of their range. But sometimes they'll actually aggro on the mole rats and the wild mongrels, so they kind of serve as a bit of a defense, even if you aren't allied or friendly with the raiders. And the only other con I can think of is just being on the edge of the map like that. I don't get a whole lot of foot traffic, because if somebody loads up the map and they're kind of looking in the middle, as you can see, I'm way on the edge and covered by this. Unless they're really scrolling down to look at the kind of ash heap area, they might not notice my camp. So I didn't get a whole lot of traffic here, but other than that, it's a really beautiful location right here on the river. And yeah, so we will go on to camp spot number 2. Alrighty, for spot number 2, we are just south of Ohio River Adventures, next to the Raiders there. Now, I have not built here since the Raiders moved in, so I'm not sure how that might affect it. However, the reason I originally chose this location is because there's a beautiful flat area down here. You can get your foundations real low to the water, and this hill over here to the right is about 1 story level, and so I was able to have a foundation down low and then a staircase go up and have like a entirely second part of the structure, which was technically the second floor, but then I put some posts in the ground and made it look pretty cool as far as being a multi-level kind of riverside little resort practically. It was really neat. I had a couple different buildings. Obviously we've got some mirelurks here. So I doubt there's any roaming. Usually when you have things that close, you don't get the roaming gangs. And then of course there are some raiders up the way there. And so, yeah, I definitely recommend this location if you're looking something off the beaten path. Very pretty scenic spot here. Got your mirelurk eggs. Alrighty, and now we're going to head on to the next location. And spot number 3, just a little ways up from that last one, we are next to the Kanawha County Cemetery. Right across the street there. So this place essentially is like the parking lot for it. So this is what we're talking about, that post-apocalyptic thing. We've got those, let's see, 1, 2, is that a third? No, so, yeah, 3 cars destroyed here. There's a trailer right there. Got a picnic table somewhere in the back here, I believe. Yeah, right there. Picnic table, little barbecue pit. So this just aesthetically looks amazing. And I was able to build a really cool multi-structure thing with just a bunch of little buildings. I was able to actually fit a Red Rocket garage in here, right behind that trailer, kind of heading towards the tree in the middle there. And one advantage here we have is you always have some kind of a settler here. Back when I was here previously, it was a lady. She kind of whines, complains a little bit, but the nice thing about having them nearby is they'll help, in a gunfight if you get hit with anything. Mainly hit with wild mongrels and mole rats here. And every once in a while, I would have some of the Mothman cultists over there aggro. Mainly, though, that was when I had you can see this retaining wall right here. When I had street lamp posts on the other side of it, that's when they started aggroing. Once I took them out, that definitely dropped significantly. And so keep that in mind if you do plan on building here. Beautiful shot of the river down here, of course. And on to the next spot. And for location number 4, we are just north of the Silva Homestead. And this is very similar to the last location where we have a parking lot with 3 cars here. Nice wall right next to Silva Homestead, which there's a screw farm up there that you've got giddy up toys and stuff like that up there. So I think you can get 4 screws a day out of there, maybe 5. So great spot for that. Just some ghouls in there you have to take care of. Got our little boat and just junk stuff here. Little table and a fire pit around the corner here. And we have this little shed structure, which has a tinker's bench, so you can kind of save on some of your crafting there. Plus we have tatows, I should say. Oh, there's Raider Punk. We've got carrot planter. I don't think there's any corn or mutt fruit here, but you've got at least a third of your adhesive farm right there. So it's kind of convenient not to have to waste up your budget on some of this stuff here. And the only thing you have to keep in mind, this building here, oftentimes will spawn super mutants, and last time was mole rats. So it's kind of funny that Raider Punk is here. And there's oftentimes a like another settler kind of person here, usually. So it's interesting that he happens to be here. But just like the last spot, they're helpful in a fight. Now, if you don't want to aggro the people in that building over there, that house, you're not going to want your border to your camp to be past this. If you can barely include it into it, but if you're putting stuff on top of this box, that sometimes can aggro them into your camp. But if your camp is right along this border of this right here, that's for me personally where I didn't have any issues with them aggroing over to my camp here. And on to spot number 5. And for our 5th and final camp location, we're kind of in Timbuktu here. We're not near any close fast travel locations. We're just in between the Silva Homestead and the Hillfolk Hot Dogs. But we're right again, of course, right along the river. And this beautiful floating boat here. And a nice dock that isn't all beat to crap like a lot of the other docks are. Now, you can place your camp module out onto the boat, kind of in the middle. Oh, there's a raider here. So for those of you that are raiders, you'll do just fine, obviously. But let's see. So you get your camp module about, as you can see. Let's see how far we can get it out here. Yeah, so about in this area is where you can place it. So you can get some things, put some things here on your on the boat and on the dock. That beautiful rock right there, which you can get a good sized about 3x3 foundation on it. And if you do put a structure up here completely kind of covering it, the boat won't quite be within your camp, but at least be kind of right on the edge, and you can still access the dock with putting just random stuff on the dock. The hillside, of course, does prevent some trickiness here to building, but you got this ledge here. You've also got that further ledge over there if you want to put that to good use. So I do recommend this for just kind of a fun, like fisherman kind of build. I've seen a couple of cool camps here. As far as roaming stuff, just again, wild Mongols and mole rats, which pretty much is the only concern ever up and down this river. And I'm assuming if you're a raider, the raider that's on that boat's going to be friendly for you and be a little bonus defender here in your camp. So, all right, well, I hope you enjoyed that first top 5. And next up, I'll do the south inland here, which will be anything from the river heading east here, with White Powder Winter Sports being the top right corner, and kind of working my way down into this area. Get you some of those locations inland there. Take care, folks, and I will see you in the wasteland. Bye-bye.